Alright, so I'm gonna work on the C30 today, take off the valve covers, reseal them, check some other stuff down there, cleaning up. I think the fuel system's getting air in it somehow. You know, you'll get it fired off, drive it for the day, and then park it overnight, and then it's just a long crank, like minutes. So I'm going to check the fuel lines. There's that soft one on the intake plenum. I'm going to see if there's any holes in that and the return lines, or if you guys have any suggestions of where I should look. This has two tanks, two little fuel tanks, so maybe there's a fitting that's letting air in. But here's a time lapse of getting down to the valve covers. I'm going to start by taking everything on top of the engine off, which is everything. The air filter, intake tube, all the pedestal mounts, taking off all the injector line hold downs. There are 16 bolts for the intake. The bolt on the passenger side near the firewall, there's one that's very difficult to get to. Then there's two bolts that hold the fuel filter on the back side. And then here I'm taking all the injector lines off, and there is like no fuel coming out. There's a bunch of vacuum lines you gotta take off, crankcase ventilation lines. There's a lot of stuff up here. Start breaking those valve cover bolts off. Just gonna scrape all this gunk so we don't get anything under there or in the intake. This thing is coated. I pulled a rat's nest out of here a few months ago. Yuck. Cracking all these injector lines off. I gotta order a injector socket. Make access a lot easier than trying to get a box end in there. Next thing to do is clean up all this. Throw some gasket maker on those valve covers, put it all back together.